What's going on, everyone? My name is Donovan, and tonight I'd like to introduce you to what I think is a groundbreaking smartwatch from a company called Kospet. This is the Kospet Prime, and it is an absolute beast of a smartwatch. I'm going to tell you why I think that is in just a little bit, but first let's go ahead and take a look at the price point. So you can find it right now on gearbest.com, so I'll leave a link down in the description. You can see right now it's available for $160 or just under $160. Now, I have seen it on other websites for $199, but here you can see the regular price is actually $229. So I'm not exactly sure what the normal price will be once it's widely available on other websites, but you can see right now GearBest is running a really great deal for it for $160, which I think is a pretty fantastic deal when you consider all that this thing has to offer. So let's go ahead and talk about some of those groundbreaking things that make this such a fantastic watch. So first things first, this one does have dual cameras. So we have a 5 megapixel camera and 8 megapixel camera. So this would be like your front facing camera, more like the rear facing camera, even though technically it's coming off of the side. Here it is next to another Android 7.1.1 smartwatch. This is the Kospet Optimus Pro here. So you can see it is significantly bigger, and in comparison, this one has a 1.3-inch display versus over here on the the Kospet Prime, this one has a 1.6-inch display. So huge display on this watch in comparison. Here it is next to the Kospet Hope. This was a larger watch than the Optimus Pro, but you can see it's even larger than that. And a more comparable watch when it comes to size would be this one right here. This is my Garmin Fenix 6X, as you can see here. This one's a very heavy watch though, so that would be the biggest difference. Even though this is a relatively large watch, it's not super heavy. This piece right here is made out of ceramic, and then the rest of it in here is made out of polycarbonate, and then on the back you do have a metal plate protecting the SIM. And you can see you do have to remove the SIM using a screwdriver that's included in the package, and then also you can see it does use the exact same type of charging mechanism that you had on the Optimus Pro from Kospet as well. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the other features on this watch, but first let's go ahead and take a look at what they mentioned here on the back of the watch, or back of the box here. So this is the Kospet Prime. As I mentioned, it comes in black or brown are the two colors. The brown one actually comes with a leather band versus the silicone band that you see here. It is completely removable. It's a 24 millimeter removable band, so it does have quick removable bands here, or quick release bands, so you can easily swap them out for something else if you prefer. As far as the processor, we have the MediaTek 6739 quad-core processor. That's the same one that the Optimus Pro had. The Optimus Pro also came with 3 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of internal storage. Like I mentioned, this one has a much bigger display than you typically see on any smartwatch, so 1.6-inch 400 by 400 resolution. This is probably the biggest, probably the most incredible feature or spec that I've seen on any smartwatch. That is a 1260 milliamp hour battery. So in comparison, the Optimus Pro, which had a massive battery, this one had an 800 milliamp hour battery versus 1260, so an extra 460 milliamp hours. So hopefully it's going to get some great battery life. Now this is the very first day. I actually just unboxed it a little bit earlier today. I already mentioned the bands, and then also mentioned the ceramic bezel there. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what you get in the box real quick, just so we know. So that's where obviously the watch was. Here we have our this is our charging mechanism. So you can see here it's just going to rest on there. It magnetizes onto this guy here, and then you can see it uses micro USB in order to charge, and it does magnetize there really well. So you can see, it's going to hold quite well, almost like wireless charging, but not quite. And then in this box you get our screwdriver, and then also a micro USB cable, as you can see there. So micro USB, of course, is going to plug it into that, and then the screwdriver is for removing the SIM tray, and then you can go ahead and put your SIM card in there. And then we also get the instructions. I'm not going to use those right now. You get a couple of extra screws, which is really nice because those screws are very easy to lose because they are very, very tiny. And then you also do get a screen protector, which, as you can see, I have not put on to the watch quite yet. All right, so let's talk about this watch and why it's so amazing. So first of all, the dual cameras, of course, the battery, which is massive, and then also the fact that this thing has a 1.6-inch display. So what makes that really cool is that when you go into the app switch, this is really cool, a brand new feature I've never seen on any other Android 7.1.1 smartwatch. Apparently it's going to kind of be wonky right now, but you can see it looks a lot like my Apple Watch. So when we go into the settings or the different applications on my Apple Watch, they basically kind of almost copied the Apple Watch when it comes to the various apps. So here are the apps. So you can change this if you don't like it. You can go into the settings and you can change the app list style. So if you'd prefer the older style, that does have that arc option as well. So the arc option is going to look just like what you see here, only this will be a list of apps instead of what you see there. Now, as far as the buttons go, I should mention this. This is our power off button. It's also our home button. So when you're on something, it is the there we go. So that's the power, or not power off, but it's the display off button. But because I keep flipping my wrist, it's going to keep turning it on. And this is our back button. So that's what those two buttons do. Going back to our list of apps, you can see that I've added a few apps. For the most part, it's literally the exact same apps you would get on something like the Optimus Pro. It's just that they're listed in a different way. So over here, you can see that I can slide through this and go through the various apps. That's a notification that I got there. So the apps look like this, and then instead over here, of course, they come in bubbles. So up here in the top left, I have the options for pairing it up with my phone. So I can connect my phone, remote capture, music control for my phone, send files to the phone, and also find my device. Slide out of that. We have there's two app stores. So this one's just kind of like an app store that it has on the watch. You can see there's only 4 apps that are available. I actually downloaded the YouTube app from the Play Store, which this is the Play Store app, so kind of weird that it uses a shopping cart for the Play Store, but that's what it looks like there. And on this watch right here, when you go into the Play Store, it's a lot harder to actually see that, but this one gives you a little bit more screen. Now, if you can't use it as you see it here, you can always hold this button down and then switch it up to square mode if you need to. So now you can see that now I got the whole screen and I can go ahead and search for whatever app I want. So this is running a full version of Android 7.1.1, just like the Optimus Pro. And so as a result, of course, you can download any app that comes available for Android. Down here, this is our Google search, I believe. Yes, it is. So if you want to do a Google search, you can check it out right here. And there you go. You can see that it's copying everything that I'm saying right now. Obviously that. All right, so another new unique feature that's available on the Kospet Prime that wasn't available on previous versions of Android 7.1.1 smartwatches is in the fitness app. So I want to go ahead and show you what that looks like on these two watches. So this is the Optimus Pro. So go ahead and slide over here. Whoops, I hit the wrong button there. So we're going to slide over here into our fitness app. So there it is. And notice that this one is definitely a little bit dimmer. That's because this is an AMOLED display versus an IPS or LCD display over here on the Kospet Prime. But when I go into the fitness app, these pretty much look identical, so no difference here. But this one, notice I can slide over and now we actually have GPS available. Now, will I ever use this app to record any workouts? Probably not, because personally I use other apps that are available in the Play Store. So I use something like over here on Strava, or there's another app I use called Ghost Racer. So those are the two apps I typically use when I'm doing workouts using one of these watches, these Android 7.1.1 smartwatches. Now, I did show you earlier that this has a speaker, or sorry, has a microphone when I was using Google Assistant, but what I didn't show you was the speaker that's available right down here under this camera. So I'm going to go ahead and take a quick listen to it. Now, I'll be completely honest, it's not the best speaker by any means, but of course you can use some Bluetooth headphones if you want to listen to music that way as well, which I would recommend whenever you're using a watch like this. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let's try back. Okay, so this is also, of course, available to use for phone calls, and as you probably know, or maybe you don't know, but let's go ahead and get out of this, and we're going to go back to the main screen. My wife apparently sent me something there, but then we're going to go up here, and so now we're into our main settings. So we can go in down here, and we're going to get our workout information, but then we go up here, and you can see it's connected up to my iPhone, so this will work with Android and iOS using a WeWatch 2 app. You can see I do have a T-Mobile SIM card. I'm getting 4G LTE there. They did adjust these little notifications here, so we'll just do a quick comparison to what it looks over here on the Optimus Pro. So they kind of spice that up a little bit. The different shortcuts that you have here are identical to the shortcuts you had on this watch, but they've just changed the colors and things like that. So they're gray when you're not using them, and then they're obviously different colors when you are using them. So Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, GPS, this is our data. Airplane mode, this is going to be our flip to turn the screen on. So now it's off, now that's on. This is our brightness setting, so you can see it got brighter there. And then this is our I think this is like do not disturb. Yeah, this is a do not disturb option there. We have quick kill all the apps, so that just killed Spotify that was running in the background. And then you can see here we can adjust our music volume here, and then also hit play. Now this is specifically for it only really works with 2 apps. It will not work with Spotify. If I hit play right now, it's not going to play Spotify. It will only work if you have music directly on the watch, or if you are using Google Play Music. So those are the 2 options that this works with. It will not work with with Spotify. So, or like I mentioned, or Apple Music. It won't work with that either. So that is a quick rundown of the new features. Now let's talk about some of the things you don't get with this watch that you got with some older watches. So with some of the good comes a couple of things that maybe aren't as good. So let's go ahead and show you real quick a couple of features you had over here on the Optimus Pro that is not available. So let's go into the settings and go into display. And here we have notification, bright screen, always time. So always time is going to basically, when you turn the display off, it's going to give you a little clock. So it should come, there it is. All right, so a little analog clock there in the background. So now this one's using an LCD display, so it's going to use up more battery for the display if it's always on. And so as a result, you don't get that option over here on the Kospet Prime. So for some people, there it is, not there. That could be a deal breaker, but it's not available over here on the Kospet Prime. A second feature that you got on the older Optimus Pro, come over here, and we had something called long standby. So as far as I can tell, I don't think that is a feature that's available. That is pretty much something that's only going to show you fitness information, then also time and date and things like that. That one is not available over here. As far as I can tell, I have not been able to find it anywhere. I've pretty much gone through all these apps, and I don't think it's available. And I think the reason for that is because, again, this is using an LCD display, so it's going to burn up a lot more battery than what you're going to use over here on the AMOLED display. So I think that's why they didn't include that feature over here on the Kospet Prime. So that is a quick rundown of the features. There's a lot more to go on this watch. Obviously today is day 1 of me having it, so a lot more to check out on this watch. Let me know what question you guys have down in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to check out our friends at gearbest.com. So quick shout out to them for sending this out to me for review, and again, you can pick it up from them for $160 right now. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has been helpful for you, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.